Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. It is your host, Brent Daniels. If it is your first time listening or watching, thank you. Thank you for finding us. We are so happy that you had found us because we are the number one podcast when it comes to wholesaling real estate. Literally, as you listen to these podcasts, as you listen to the stories and the testimonials and just the testimonies of everybody around the country that are doing amazing work in the wholesaling space, you're going to get instruction and little golden nuggets on every single conversation. So I want to start this podcast with the framework of having an open mindset. Have a really, really open mindset and try to find 2 or 3 things during this incredible interview that you can write down and you can take action on today, because that's the whole point of this podcast. That's the whole point of these videos, is for you to be out there making an impact in your community. And speaking of, this leads perfectly, because making an impact in his community in Orlando is my guest today. His name is Cameron Miller. I want to say hello and welcome you to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. Brent, such a pleasure to be here, man. Definitely remember when I first got into wholesaling. I was watching these podcasts and listening, and this is how I learned how to do my first couple of deals. So definitely an honor and a blessing to be here, man. I'm excited.
That's excellent, and we're happy to have you on here. You know, it's exciting to me because, you know, Orlando is a really interesting market. Orlando has a lot of neighborhoods that, and we were talking about this before this podcast started, but you can literally go neighborhood to neighborhood and get a lot of opportunities out there because it was built, you know, kind of in the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? So these properties need some love if they haven't been totally updated. And you know, you can literally just drive up and down the streets and find some unbelievable opportunities. Is that right? Tell us about your market.
Definitely a very unique market. If you know the areas where to go, you're absolutely right. I was saying earlier, there are times where I can find 50 properties in 30 minutes if I go to the right areas. So it's definitely a market where there's a lot of opportunities, but with a lot of opportunity, of course, there's a lot of competition here too. Mm-hmm. So to have success down here, you really have to be a go-getter. You have to really grind. You have to hustle.
Oh, absolutely. So before you started, how did you even start listening to podcasts and finding wholesaling? Like, how did you find it? Did you go online one time? Were you thinking you wanted to be a real estate investor? Like, how did this manifest itself?
Of course, like everybody in the world who gets into this industry, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. And I read that a couple of years ago, and from there, I knew I wanted to get into real estate. I ended up moving to Orlando 4 years ago for a job opportunity. And while I was working here, I was telling a buddy of mine, I want to get into real estate because he was doing it already. And he tells me about wholesaling. He's like, yeah, man, you go get a property under contract, find a seller, and then from there you find a buyer and you sell the property. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not real. I didn't believe it. I kind of left it alone for about a year. A year later, by then I get my real estate license. I'll try to be an agent. Actually try to be a listing agent and make calls. And I found a company, a brokerage here that was wholesaling, and they happened to be doing cold calls for wholesaling. So got with them, figured out how to do my first deal. Next thing I know, I'm back in the wholesaling. I do my first deal, and I'm like, wow, this thing works. So definitely came back around full circle for me.
Sure. So when you were going out to get your or interviewing with these people or finding, you know, the strategies that they were working, were you thinking that you would go into and did you have a proactive mindset that you wanted to reach out to these homeowners, or were you thinking, well, everybody's mailing or everybody's doing pay-per-click, or there's so many different marketing channels? Like, did something speak to you more than others?
I think what spoke to me most was a failed attempt at the written mail. I did my first attempt. I think I spent about $3,000, sent out mailers, and I just sat back thinking, I know I'm going to get a deal. I know a deal is going to come. A month passes, nothing. 2 months passes, nothing. 3 months passes. I have absolutely nothing but phone calls from people saying, don't ever call me. Don't ever send me anything again.
Right.
So from there, I kind of came into cold call. I came across cold calling, so I started trying.
Yeah.
And from listening to the podcast, it's just it was just a thing where I had to build that consistency with it, and that definitely is where I started to see that success.
Oh, awesome. So did you just start right away? Did you get the script? Did you just start, or did you just get on the phone and just start saying whatever?
At first, I tried the whole saying whatever thing, and then I came across, of course, this podcast, other podcasts where they were introducing scripts. So from there, I started just using those different scripts and using the language in those scripts and kind of perfecting my delivery with it. And I started using that. As I got more comfortable with it, I started not having to use a script, but I still follow it, of course. But I just got more comfortable with it, with everything, and over time, things just started to snowball, I guess.
Yeah, and if anybody out there listening or watching, if you're looking for the absolute best script, it is the TTP script. It's been used millions of times. Just email me, brent@wholesalinginc.com, and we'll send that script over to you. But I think what you said is so critical. What you do is you get the framework, you get a skeleton, you get the scaffolding of a conversation, and you memorize it, and you get it into your brain for one specific reason, and that's so that you have it internalized, so that you can listen when you ask questions. Because if you're thinking about, see, this is the issue that I always run up against when people are using callers from a foreign country. They are so robotic in what they're saying that they're not listening to the answer, or they're not effectively or actively listening to the answer. And it makes people feel uncomfortable. It does. I mean, we've all had that call from somebody that you're like trying to talk to them and they're not really engaging, and the conversation, it has a lot of friction, and you're like, nah, this just feels weird. But when you internalize a good script and you realize that when you ask somebody if they'd consider an offer on their property, there's only 6 responses that they're going to give you, then you know how to keep the conversation flowing. And I think that that's a huge part that you were saying, is you memorize it, you internalize it, and now you're like in a flow state, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. For anybody who's new, who just now getting those scripts, I definitely suggest to put them on flashcards.
Yep.
That's I still do to this day. When I practice using flashcards just to get back in that rhythm, almost like a basketball player in free throws.
Yep.
I'm just taking that rhythm. Let me warm up using my flashcards. That way, once I get ready to get on the phones, I'm already ready to go. It's game time by then.
Well, and it's just practicing it. Because here's the thing that most people don't know. You can practice the scripts before you get on the phone with anybody, instead of using them as practice. You know what I mean? And then you start getting into some bad habits, or you start feeling, that you're not getting to the next step in the conversation. You get stuck at a certain place. There's like ruts that you can get into if you're not practicing internalizing the script. So I think that is a huge gold nugget for everybody out there listening, is internalize these scripts. Understand there's 6 responses when you ask somebody if they'll consider an offer on their property. So just learn those and keep the conversation flowing. Yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely.
So tell me what your daily schedule looks like, your weekly schedule. Let's break this down. Let's give some people the real nitty-gritty on what your life is like right now.
So right now, I'm full-time, wholesaling full-time. So literally waking up around 5 o'clock, doing all of my journaling. I do affirmations. I hit the gym, get my mindset right for that day. From 5 to 8 or 5 to 9, I do that. Around 9 o'clock, I'm on the phones by then. So I'm on the phones 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Mm-hmm. I may do 3 hours, eat real quick, then do another 3 hours. Then after I do that, I do my follow-ups, of course. Got to be consistent with the follow-ups. Mm-hmm. After I do my follow-ups, around 6 or 7, I start reaching out to buyers. I do a lot of reaching out to my buyers via social media.
Sure.
So I reach out to my buyers via social media. And
what does that mean? Break that down for us, Cameron. What do you mean you reach out to them through social media?
So I'm a huge advocate of just starting conversations on Facebook.
Yep.
Going to real estate investment groups and just starting conversations. Hey, my name is Cameron. I'm a wholesaler in the Orlando, Central Florida area. I'm always trying to build my buyers list. I'm just curious to see if you'd like to be added to that list so that you'll be one of the first ones to know about one of my deals.
Love it.
So just doing that on a consistent basis.
You're just DMing people.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, just direct messaging people and just starting that conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Now, do you ask them for their phone number so that you can reach out through that, or email, or how do you get their info so that when you get a deal, you know you can get it in front of them?
Right. So what I do is in that message, I ask for their email address as well as their phone number. And when I get it, I upload it into my database on MailChimp. So that once I get a deal, I send it to everybody in my database in MailChimp, and they're one of the first ones to get every time. And that's my main source of marketing for deals, marketing for buyers. Once I get a deal.
I love it. So if you're giving somebody out there some advice on how to build their buyer database, what groups do you go to in social media that's been the best bang for the buck? You know, the most successful for you?
I would say the most successful one would be the group that has the area RIA members in it. That's probably the best group to go. So in your area, every area that I've been across typically has a RIA group there, a real estate investors group.
Yep.
Real estate investors club or something of that nature.
Right.
So find out where they hang out, find out where their group is, find out where their group is on Facebook. And I would definitely say get into that group, start having conversations, start introducing your stuff, start telling them what you want to do. And over time, you'll build those relationships. I found mentors in those groups. I found buyers in those groups. I've found I've done deals with people in those groups. So it's definitely a resource that you want to use, as well as actually go to those meetings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. So you're not just reaching out to them on social media. You're showing up and you're putting, you know, like a real person in front of them. Yeah, it's huge.
Have to put a face to a name. Have to.
Well, it solidifies the trust that you are serious about this. You're not just some dude that's like hired, you know, to scrape all the buyer database or all the buyers and build a database. And maybe you're a real person, maybe you're not, maybe you're a bot, maybe you're, you know, somebody that's using a different profile or something, but you're a real person, you're in the community, you're looking for deals, you're finding deals, you're providing these opportunities for these cash buyers, and you're a reliable person, right? I mean, you're a reliable professional that's out there that's constantly being proactive to help them find the deals that they're looking to get. So that's huge. And then all of a sudden you start building that relationship, and then all of a sudden your deals start selling like crazy. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. So let's break down a deal. Let's get into the nitty gritty, because you've got a really special deal that I think we should talk about, and I'll just let you go for it. So why don't you break it down? I think this is your first deal. Was it your first deal?
So this wasn't my first deal. This was my first solo deal.
Got it.
Because I know I was saying earlier, I did my first deal. I was a part of a group. This is the first deal I did by myself.
Okay.
And this deal was very interesting. I, of course, got it. This is the deal I got right before I got into the TTP program, right before I got into your program. And I got it from cold calling.
Yeah.
Got it from the code violations list. So I do my calls. I'm calling up, hey, would you consider offering your property there? And she says, yes, 30,000 is yours. I'm homeless. When you want to do this? Whoa, wait a minute. So of course I go ahead and set up the appointment right then and there.
Yep.
I get out there the next day. I see the house is boarded up on the outside. I can tell there's been some fire damage. So I go in the front door, because she told me when you get there, I'll be in the back. Just come inside. So once I walk inside, it is literally 4 walls and a roof. And there's a shed in the backyard that she's walking from. And she comes, tells me, we introduce ourselves. We started talking about the situation first. And I'm just asking her, hey, you know, tell me about the situation, tell me about the property. And she tells me that it was a fire damaged property. And the fire basically totally destroyed the house. Yeah. So for the bones, of course. And that in her attempts to rehab it, she was trying to rehab it by herself. And she basically got screwed over and over again. You know, people unfortunately take advantage of, you know, the quote unquote little old ladies. Yep. She was ready to get rid of it. She was done. And so I asked her, I said, hey, well, what do you need in order to move on from here? And she says, 30,000 I signed today.
Yeah.
in my mind, I already knew my numbers, and I knew that anything under 45,000, I would be good. So from there, I already had a contract with me. I pull a contract out. I say, let's sign on the dotted line. I
Yep.
get it on contract for what she needed.
Yep. I love
Hmm.
it. And it's important to bring a contract to your appointments. Guys, if
Right.
you're out there and you're going on appointments without a contract, you are missing out on so many opportunities. You're getting, 90% there and then you just stop. You have to ask for the close. You have to ask for them to sign the contract. You have to present the contract to them so that they understand all the terms so that you can move forward with them being 100% confident that you're going to get this done. So bring a contract to your appointments for sure. So she's living in the back in a shed?
Right. So there was this shed, maybe the size of a closet, like literally a twin size bed could fit in there. And we literally went over the contract. I stood kind of in the doorway, and I went over the contract with her to make sure that she understood everything and make sure that she was. I wanted her to feel like she was being treated fairly.
Right.
Fairly. And that's one thing I was really big. I'm really big on. I want people to feel like I'm treating them the right way. I want you to sense the integrity. So I made sure that she felt comfortable with everything. I go over everything, go over the contract. We sign it, and I ended up closing that deal a month later, and I made $10,000 on that deal.
I love it. So you got it for 30, you sold it for 40, and she took the money, and where did she go? Do you know?
She went and bought her a trailer. She bought her a trailer. That way she had somewhere to live. Her grandkids could come down, her family could come over, and most importantly, her puppy Speedy, her puppy Speedy had somewhere that they could call home.
Yeah, yeah. And how was she afterwards? I mean, was she so happy? Was she so relieved? Like,
I think that was almost the best part of the deal. She was so happy. She was so happy that I was able to help her. She called me and she was just like, "Thank you so much. When I get settled into my new home, I want you to come over. I'm going to make my famous lasagna for you. I'm just so happy that you helped me. I'm going to tell everybody that I can about you."
I love it. I love it. So we're going to ring this bell here, for the 10,000. But I think more importantly, it's also for you changed that woman's life. You know what I mean? You took, I mean, that was a huge, huge weight on her shoulders, and you helped her out, and now she's so much happier for it. That's the value we provide to this community. That's what we do in wholesaling. So give me a second here.
There we go. There we go. I've been waiting on that bell, Brett.
Yeah, good. Good. So tell me about your business now. How are things going? How are you progressing? Is it just you?
So definitely just me right now. One man show. I have 3 deals right now.
Awesome.
That I'm waiting to close on. I think total, I should be able to bring in right around 11,000 for those.
Okay.
And right now, it just continuing that consistency of constantly reaching out to the stressed homeowners every single day, and just building that pipeline up so that instead of 1.5 deals a month, 2 deals a month, now I get to the point where I'm getting 3, 4, 5 deals a month, so that I can start bringing people in, bringing callers, bringing disposition specialists, all of those things, to actually build a business versus a glorified job.
Yeah. How do you stay consistent? How do you keep the mindset to keep going? I mean, isn't it boring? Isn't it tiring? Isn't it just wear you down day after day that you're making these calls for hours?
Absolutely. It does. And I think what changes is at some point it has to go from I should call, I should probably try to call today to, oh, I must call 5 hours today. I must call 6 hours today. I must S amount of time. I must go get these many properties today when I'm driving. And I think a big part of that is I burned the ship. When I quit my job, I burned the ship. So I gave myself no choice but to get out here every single day and make this thing happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that you understand not only because you're succeeding in this and doing this, but you know that if you want to make money, you make calls. If you want to succeed, you have quality conversations with distressed property owners every single day. You cannot lose. You want to grow your business. You want to hire other people. You want to be, just have a pipeline of leads that's just totally exploding all over you all the time. It takes some time to build that up, of course, but consistency, that is the number one thing when it comes to TTP, when it comes to talking to people, is consistently speaking with distressed property owners. You cannot lose. You cannot. You are proof time and time and time again. You cannot lose if you're talking to people. That's it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
What's your best? What do you feel is your best list that you call?
Definitely by far the Driving for Dollars list. That list, because no one else has that list.
Right.
That list is the most unique list, and it's just been the best list so far. I think out of the deals I've closed so far, 80% of those deals have been Driving for Dollars.
Awesome. What do you do for it? Are you using an app?
Oh, definitely. Definitely using Deal Machine, man.
Yeah.
That app is amazing.
Yep.
It cuts out a lot of time between seeing the property and having to put it in a spreadsheet. That app is definitely a must-have if you're going to drop dollars.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, I mean, you can get a whole team of people to do it, a whole army to do it for you and with you. It's incredible. If you're listening and you don't have the Deal Machine app, make sure you put in the coupon code TTP and you get it $9 cheaper. So it's just a little bit of a discount. Not a ton, but it makes a difference. So definitely check that out. So are you driving yourself? You're just driving around with the Deal Machine app. Boom, boom, boom. Every single day you're getting, and you were telling me you're getting up to 500 addresses a week?
Yeah. So what I do during the week, I try to do 50 a day.
Okay.
Take an hour or two at the end of my day, between like 6 and 7 or somewhere around that time. I go find 50 properties. Yeah. So that gets 50, and then on the weekends I do a big driving day where I just go and get 250. So I want as many I want as much data in my pipeline as possible.
Right.
I want as many distressed homeowners as I can to call so that I can really build something here.
Yep. It's huge, and it's a phenomenal list. I mean, it's the pound for pound king time and time again, even in bigger markets, even in smaller markets. It doesn't matter. It's just distressed property owners. If the property's in rough shape, they're distressed property owners. It's just the eye test. You just look at it and you see, okay, they're going to have to do something. They're going to either have to invest a significant amount of money to fix up this property, or they're going to have to sell it to a cash buyer. 9 times out of 10, they have to sell it to a cash buyer. Be that buyer for sure. It's incredible. So when you talk about, I think this is important, and we don't talk about it much on this podcast, but talk about the 15 minutes before you press go on the dialer. Like the little bit before, like, do you do anything mentally, or do you just, you've done it so much now that you just roll into it and you press go?
Actually, I do. I kind of have a little routine.
Okay, tell me about it.
Part of that routine is I'm big on meditation and being present. And part of that routine is meditating and saying the person that I'm calling is expecting me to call. They're waiting for my call. Mm-hmm. They're going to be glad when I call them. So that kind of helps you battle through the call reluctance, because I've seen a lot of people have call reluctance.
Sure.
I definitely do that, as well as I take those flashcards to this day. I still take those same flashcards. I go through each line. I go through each one so that I'm already prepared. And I've even added, along with the script, objections. Any objections I come across, I add those in that list. So I go over the list, and I go over the script, as well as go over the objections before I even get into the call, just to get my mindset ready.
For sure. It's one, it's visualizing. 2, you're practicing what to say in the moment so that you're not caught off guard. I mean, literally, people could throw something at you and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard this 1,000 times. I've practiced it 1,000 times. I'm ready for it. I'm going to respond I'm going to confirm and approve everything that they're saying. You never want to, disagree with people. That's the quickest way to get out of alignment with them, is to disagree with them on price, or disagree with them on their thoughts or their plans. Oh, I'm going to list it with a real estate agent. Oh, that's a great idea. Have you thought about saving some of the money and just selling it for cash as is and not have to deal with an agent. You know what I mean? Like you're confirming and approving everything. You're never, trying to tell them that they're wrong in whatever they're thinking, because they're not. It's their life. It's their property. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you confirm and approve, and you can start building up your experience, not even on the phone, by practicing. I love the idea of flashcards. I've been thinking about putting together like an official TTP flashcard thing for everybody because I think it's huge. It really is. That's how I learned back in the day, for sure. Is I had the flashcards and I'd go through them and go through them and go through them and go through them, and it just all of a sudden it became like it was part of me. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
Repetition, it drills it into your mind. So it's really in there.
Awesome. So speak to somebody out there that's looking to get their first deal. They're watching this on YouTube or they're listening to it on the podcast. Like, give them some instruction on what they can do to get their first deal.
I would say get off of YouTube and start taking action. Just start taking massive action towards getting that first deal. You can learn so much on YouTube to the point where you kind of have that analysis paralysis.
Sure.
Analysis paralysis, where you're just overwhelmed with this information. I say just go out there and fail forward. Fail forward, learn as you go. That's to this. I'm always failing forward. I'm always learning something different because I'm just putting myself out there and being uncomfortable. I'm being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Love it.
And you have to be able to do that.
I love it. I love it. So basically, stop messing around. Stop thinking about it. Stop overanalyzing it. It's not going to be perfect. Go out and take action and just have those quality conversations with a distressed property owner.
Right. You're not going to be perfect on the phone.
No.
You're not going to be perfect when you show up for the appointments the first time. You're not.
Yep.
Just get out there. Just get out there and try.
Love it. And for anybody out there, maybe in the Orlando area or anybody around the country that wants to reach out to you, maybe have a conversation or, just kind of, pick your brain a little bit. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So there's, you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram, at TheCamMiller. On Facebook, I want to say my name is Cam Miller, and I'll go ahead and put my cell phone number out there. If anybody has any questions, I just ask that you shoot me a text first,
sure.
just so that I know that it's someone who's going to ask me some questions. And my cell phone number is 407-434-1654.
And guys, that is, Cameron just told me that he just read The Go-Giver here. And if you haven't read it, definitely go read The Go-Giver. And he said, Brent, I warned him. I said, if you put your cell phone out there, people are going to reach out. People listen and are proactive and that watch and listen to this. So he very, very, without hesitation said, hey, I'm going to put my phone number out there because I want to help out whoever's, needs some help and needs some love out there. So really, really, really incredible. So, Cameron, thank you. I mean, just fantastic. I mean, I think it's just one of those things. This business is wonderfully fulfilling, not from just a financial perspective, but from our ability. It's a very unique opportunity that we all have every single day to make a true impact in our neighborhoods, in our communities. And it's a story like the one you told today of a gal living in a shed behind her house because she got fire damage and the contractors were taking advantage of them. It happens every single day. Be that light in your community. Be that unbelievable professional out there that is helping to solve problems, because there is not a single wholesale deal that goes on that does not have a problem that you're solving for that distressed property owner. So it's just an incredible business. You should have so much pride in this if you're starting this or getting this going. And just like Cameron, go out there, find somebody that is really, they're struggling, they have a weight on their shoulders, and go help relieve it just like he did. Phenomenal. Thank you for being a part and being on this podcast. Really incredible.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for having me here, man. Like I said, it's a blessing just to be here. It's an honor to be here. I'm definitely grateful for it, man.
Awesome. And if you're interested in joining the most proactive group with Cameron Miller, it is the TTP program. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check out the page. Check out what the program's all about. Check out the testimonials. If it feels good in your gut, then sign up for a call, and I'll be working with you personally. I'd look forward to that. But Until next time, guys, I encourage you all to go out into your community and talk to people. Until next time, guys. See ya.